Hi guys, welcome back to Mysteries from the Mitten. My name's Kristen and I have a case to share with you today about Brendan Santo. Brendan Santo was born on April 1st of 2003 to parents Wendy and Brad Santo. He would be turning 19 years old next week. Brendan grew up in Rochester, Michigan. As a child, he attended Brewster Elementary School, then Van Hoosen Middle School, and graduated from Rochester Adams High School in 2021. While Brendan was in high school, he played on the lacrosse team and also on the Rochester United hockey team. Brendan has been described as kind, polite, considerate of others, fun, and humble. It was said that he was happy to cook a meal to share with friends. He had an infectious smile and a great sense of humor, and he not only loved his dog Abby, but all dogs. In October of 2021, Brendan Santo was 18 years old and had just begun attending Grand Valley State University as a freshman that fall semester. On Friday, October 29, 2021, Brendan and some friends from college drove to Michigan State University to visit some other friends who were attending school there. Not only was it the weekend of the big rivalry game between Michigan State University and University of Michigan, which is pretty notorious in this state, but it was also Halloween weekend, and so students were already busy celebrating. Brendan kicked off the night at Yakeley Hall hanging out with some friends. This was an all-female dormitory. Brendan was last seen leaving Yakeley Hall by himself, which was not uncommon, and his friends had no reason to be concerned at this time. He was planning to go to meet his other group of friends at Brody Hall. Brendan's last cellular activity showed that he had crossed Michigan Avenue and then crossed back over past Beale Street, still heading towards the Brody dorm neighborhood. His friends believe he was traveling back to Brody to visit another group of friends. This was also the place that he had planned to stay for the weekend. Brendan had been messaging with his friends between 11:30 and 11:45 p.m., but then communication stopped. Information obtained by police showed that the battery on Brendan's phone had been drained to 0% and had just died at the time he went missing. It was not shut off or broken. Campus cameras were inoperable at that time, so there's no footage showing exactly which way Brendan was traveling or to confirm which direction he had been walking. A spokesperson from MSU had told the news media that the cameras on campus had been taken offline weeks before Brendan had visited. This was due to the fact that they contained a Chinese computer chip that had been banned by a federal law in 2020. That law did not allow any federal money, which helps to fund the university, to be used for equipment that could pose a, quote, national security risk, which includes the chip in that camera because it came from China. MSU says, though, that as of now, there are working cameras in every residence hall on campus, but in this case, it was too little too late. That Friday night, after communication completely stopped and Brendan never showed up, his friends became worried. Brendan was reported missing by those friends on Saturday, October 30th. When Brendan went missing, he was wearing a Red Wings baseball cap and a black t-shirt with gray sweatpants and a zipper back pocket with white Converse shoes. He would have also been wearing a gold necklace with a Celtic cross. Brendan was carrying his iPhone 12 in a blue case and also a dark brown wallet. He did not have his car keys, but had been carrying a set that belonged to his friend. None of Brendan's friends' vehicles nor Brendan's car had been moved all weekend. All of the vehicles were searched early on. Brendan had also purchased a Halloween costume earlier in the day that was still in his vehicle. The vehicle has since been released to his parents, but police seized all other personal belongings that Brendan had brought with him. In the days and weeks after Brendan had been reported missing, there was no activity shown on his bank accounts, Uber or Lyft charges, and no unusual activity in his social media accounts. Brendan's family stated that they did not believe that Brendan would disappear on his own. He was not addicted to any legal or illegal substances. He was not depressed or suicidal, nor was he involved in any illicit activities. They described him as a genuinely good person, son, grandson, nephew, cousin, friend, and he cared about people and was always there to help in any way that he could. The investigation was kicked off with a task force being formed. There were a lot of agencies involved in this investigation from the start. The task force included the Michigan State University Campus Police, East Lansing Police Department, the FBI, Grand Valley State University Police, Ingham County Sheriff's Department, the Michigan Attorney General, Michigan State Police, and Oakland County Sheriffs. The main area of focus in searching for Brendan was the Red Cedar River from the Beale Street Bridge to Clifford Street. Searches were made by foot, drones, helicopter, canine cadaver units, boats with sonar, and certified divers. But there were challenges in searching the river due to debris, water levels, and the flow rate. Because of these challenges, Brendan's family started a petition via change.org. This petition was requesting that a dam be built in the Red Cedar River to help aid in the search for Brendan. Additional searches were conducted by two family-organized civilian searches, which were comprised of more than 800 volunteers. They searched the outdoor areas on the MSU campus, while the MSU campus police focused on searching all of the interiors of buildings. Volunteer rock climbers also searched in a ravine area located on campus. Hospitals were checked, jails were checked, and pawn shops were notified, but there was no sign of Brendan. None of Brendan's belongings that he would have been carrying were ever found. Brendan's phone was never turned back on. Brendan's dad was quoted saying, "It's one of three things. In the river, someone took him, or something happened." 2.5 months went by, and police were still coming up empty-handed. A reward for credible information on Santo's whereabouts rose to $30,000 as time went on from his disappearance. Then, in early January, a private investigator named Ryan Robison called Santo's father and told him he would like to help in the search. He had never worked a case like this, but his wife had been following Brendan's story closely on social media, and he pleaded with her husband to get involved. Robison said he was apprehensive to take something like this on, but after a 5-hour-long talk with Brendan's dad, he felt a bond with him as a father and knew that he needed to do whatever he could to help. Robison started his search on January 6th of 2022, about 100 feet down from the Clifford Street trailhead. He started there because of Brendan's father. Robison felt like it was a dad's instinct because he kept gravitating back to that area. The private investigator set up a camera near the river to monitor activity and look for signs as well as record himself. The first day out there, he said he sat there for an hour and a half just watching how the river moved and bounced off the shore. Then he noticed something strange, a pumpkin. One day, he said he took out about 6 to 8 pumpkins out of the river and realized they had probably been in the water since late October or early November. This helped him establish a timeline of anything that may have went in the water during that time period and where it might have ended up. If pumpkins were collected there after going in the water around Halloween, could Brendan also be there? The river was partially frozen since it was winter, and the banks of the river were not clear. It was a tangled mess of tree roots and debris. One day, Robison just started chopping away for hours, day after day, all while recording himself. One day, he got a heavy chisel through and realized that beneath the ice, the river was probably about 8 feet deep in the middle. At one point in his investigation, he used a broom to hold his camera in place because the current was so strong. He even had to lug pounds of rock salt to keep the holes open in the ice because if they would freeze overnight if he didn't. Sometimes Robison also took still pictures with his camera under the water, and he would take them home to look through. On January 20th, while doing so, he saw an image that stopped him in his tracks. He said, "It was about 11 p.m. that night, and I'm sitting downstairs and looking through the frames. I knew what Brendan was wearing that night, and probably the most identifiable aspect of that would have been the types of shoes that he wore. So I was able to see in that one frame the shoes that he had on." Robison's camera detected the body at a log jam that was located about 1.5 miles downriver of where Santo was last seen when he went missing on October 29th. The investigator knew that he needed to go see Brendan's father immediately. He didn't wait until the morning. He said, "I drove over there and just knocked on his door, and obviously me showing up at midnight was not something that he, expected." The next day, that morning, Robison was back at the site after he called authorities, and he quietly sat in the background watching crews remove Santo's body. The Michigan State University Police Inspector Chris Rosman confirmed on January 22nd of 2022 that the medical examiner had positively identified the body as Brendan Santo based on his dental records. An autopsy was then performed on Brendan, and it was stated that the manner of death was accidental drowning. In addition to the autopsy, a toxicology report was released and states that acute ethanol intoxication was a contributory condition in his death. The toxicology report showed that Brendan had a blood alcohol level of 0.22% and a urine alcohol level of 0.301%, along with caffeine that was found in his blood. There were no other substances detected. So with that being said, Brendan's blood alcohol level was almost 3 times the legal limit for an adult. A pathologist from Sparrow Health System, Dr. Patrick Hansma, stated in the opinion section of the autopsy that the autopsy revealed advanced decomposition changes. No antemortem injuries, meaning before death, or natural disease were identified. Toxicologic analysis was positive for ethanol. So how was Ryan Robison, the private investigator, able to find Brendan's body while all other authorities were not? Ryan Robison said that authorities had been treating this as a recovery, so they would not put divers into the spot where he was searching because it was deadly at the time. Robison was treating it like a rescue. He did things that most would never have tried, and that's because of the promise he had made to Brendan's father. Police said they had been planning to search the exact same area beginning the next week of January 24th. But the plan was complex because it involved clearing logs and debris to make it easier and safer for the boat to be put into the water, as well as divers to go in. This is also not the first time that someone has gone missing in the Red Cedar River. On New Year's Eve in 1997, a 21-year-old by the name of Ryan Getz disappeared. It took 3.5 months for Getz's body to be found, and it was also found attached to a tree in the Red Cedar River. Days after Brendan's body was discovered, friends and family circulated a petition highlighting new safety measures that could be implemented around parts of the river that cut through MSU's campus. These measures included danger signs near steep drops into the river, fences and barriers on campus near openings to the river, and better lighting. This petition reached its initial goal of 15,000 signatures within 1 day, and as of Monday, January 31st, neared 20,000 signatures. Michigan State University is now installing temporary fencing along parts of the Red Cedar River in response to Brendan's death. A spokesperson for Michigan State University said that the university started the process on Wednesday, January 26th, along openings of the river at Beale Street and West Circle Drive intersection. Further installation will continue, and he said the school will work on more permanent solutions to enhance safety on campus. Other enhancements included repairs to security cameras on campus, outdoor lighting, and a campus safety mobile app being developed. Petition organizers are grateful to Michigan State for considering these new safety measures. A close friend of Brendan's family was quoted saying, "We look forward to future discussions on this subject, as this is very near and dear to our heart." After Brendan's body was located and recovered, as a sign of grief and in honor of Brendan, students at MSU painted their rock on campus, which is a tradition that dates back more than 100 years. On February 10th of 2022, students at Grand Valley State University held a memorial service for Brendan to come together and mourn the loss of their friend and fellow student. Brendan's obituary read, Brendan Thomas Santo, age 18, of Rochester Hills. He was a loving son of Brad and Wendy Santo, dear brother of Haley, beloved grandson of Kathy and Thomas Santo, and Maury and Mickey Rose, nephew of Scott and Jenny Rose, Dawn Brewer, Kelly and Joe Hartzell, cousin of Sophia and Ella Rose, and Mallory and Kelsey Brewer. Also survived by numerous close friends that were also like family. For the funeral, the family requested that in lieu of flowers, anyone wanting to do so donate money to their local first responders or an animal shelter in Brendan's name. After Brendan's body was found, his family has continued their Facebook page, Brendan's Legacy, and continues to share missing persons information to do what they can to help other families bring their loved ones home. The This is a tragic case, and Brendan obviously had such a positive impact on all the people in his life. One of my takeaways from this case is that we should remind our children and college students additional ways to stay safe. This would include to encourage them to travel in pairs or in groups while on campus, especially at night and when alcohol may be involved. Thank you so much for listening to Brendan's story today. Even though it wasn't the outcome that anyone would hope for, I'm glad that he's been found and that his family finally has some type of closure. Until the next time, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.